First of all, to the youth organizers for giving me this opportunity to talk about in your bus session. So today, the topic I was asked to do a few months ago, was inclusive leadership. And on Thursday, Matthew Nebu told me that the bus session is going to be today. So this is a quick session. Inclusive leadership is a huge and vast topic. In leadership and management trainings and things like that, it actually takes at least half a day to 1 week to cover all the aspects of inclusive leadership. So I condense some of those topics into the 20-25 minutes in the next few slides. So today, in the sermon, Joachim told us about Nathaniel. And the two words that he highlighted there was, come and see. What was actually that implies? The two words that he explained in a different way. And what did he say about those two words? Those who are here at church at that time. Yes, the feelings and the experience. That's the two words that Achan has asked and explained, isn't it? So, first thing I want you to think about is a situation when you felt that you have not been included. So that can be your diversity hasn't been taken into account. Or you have felt that you have not been given equality of opportunity, or you have not given that opportunity to feel included. Anything that comes to your mind? Usually I use a Menti to put your thoughts in. But what do you feel when you are not feeling included? You don't feel valued, absolutely. Anything else? You feel sad?
Sometimes you feel that you are not listened to.
You are not listened to? Yeah? Any other?
Anger.
Absolutely. You can show all those kind of emotions, isn't it? When you are not feeling, you can feel that emotions, but you don't necessarily showing it to people. And what is the other way around? About the situation when you felt included. What is the feeling? Proud. Welcomed. Valued. Yeah, of course. Part of the team, part of the group that we are in. We'll feel valued, we feel happy. Equality among the people. Yeah. So that is the experience, that's the feeling, isn't it? So when we feel that, we experience that as well. When you are in a group of people, you experience that kind of an emotion, basically. It's as we say, cognitive behaviors that we think about, isn't it? So the definitions of equality, diversity and inclusion is quite vast. But what do you think, in one word, what could be the diversity? Any thoughts?
People with different characters from different sides uniting together.
Yeah, everyone has equal opportunities and equal support is available. A condition of being equal meaning of similar value or quality, being evenly balanced. What about diversity? Diversity is the embracing differences in backgrounds, perspective and experiences. So that is again understanding differences in terms of customs, practices, cultures and human behavior. Inclusion is a little different in there. That's creating an environment where all individuals feel valued and respected. Also, it embraces all individuals regardless of their race, gender, disability or any other differentiating characteristics that people may have. Moving on to the next one, it's again the same thing but detailed in a different way. But you can see the graph over there. What is inclusion means is including everyone in regardless of their diversity. So exclusion is you are always out of the group. There is always an in-group. You are out of it. Integration means you are part of the group but still not in the in-group. Segregation, you are outside of there. Equity and equality is also another important aspect in there. The assumption that everyone benefits from the same support is equality. Equity is everyone gets the support that they need, thus producing equality. So equality, sometimes when we think about it, is probably coming to our mind as the same. But some people do need extra support, extra guidance, extra whatever is required to get them to become equal. So let's move on to Jesus' leadership approach. I think we are OCYM. I think we should focus on Jesus as a leader, isn't it? So Jesus redefined the traditional leadership at his age, his time era. How did he do that? His style was focused on compassion, humility, and inclusion. Can you think of some of the qualities that made Jesus a model of inclusive leadership? Yeah. That's against the traditional value, giving importance to the gender, considering women into the mainstream. Yeah.
He have selected people from all streams of the society.
Yeah.
Not only from the prior ones, but also from the least paid people also.
Yeah. All streams of the society, people. Jesus included everyone in his mission. Yeah. Anything else?
I think he was very strong to defy certain conventions, like he was happy to sit next to a tax collector.
Yeah. Society considered them as sinners, isn't it? So, but still he chose to sit with them. Yeah.
He counted his disciples as friends.
Yeah. Equal to him. Yeah.
He included people with disabilities.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when we think about all the protected characteristics, I'm sure you probably are aware, especially people working in NHS, know about the 10 protected characteristics, isn't it? So Jesus actually embodied all of those people in that era, in that age, when he was talking about, or during his mission, basically, I should say. So let's take some of these approaches in 3 different heads in the coming slides. So basically, he challenged the social and cultural norms. The examples are, some of you already mentioned in there. The Samaritan woman is one, calling the tax collectors and sinners, and welcoming children. So children were often marginalized in ancient societies as well, but Jesus openly welcomed and blessed them. So what could be the leadership behaviors that he may have shown in such kind of situations? So inclusive leaders must engage across divisions of race, gender, background, and challenging their prejudices. We all know the Samaritan woman's story, so I'm not explaining it. But then he is addressing the race, gender, and background of that Samaritan woman to challenge those kind of things. Tax collectors sees values in everyone, not just those deemed worthy by societal standards. We see people in different ways, isn't it? We probably see people the way that they come, the way they dress up, the vehicle they drive, things like that. But this is different in here. The society's deemed worthiness is nothing for Jesus. Children, inclusive leaders gives voice and attention to those who are often overlooked or undervalued. The next head is reaching the forgotten. So healing the leper is one of that. The poor and the broken. Jesus consistently highlighted the value of the poor, the broken-hearted, and the oppressed, and the Good Samaritan. That parable also overturned the expectations of righteousness, showing that even despised Samaritan could embody love and compassion better than their religious elite in there. So what could we see we can see that from these three examples. So going beyond fear of stigma to connect with those the world deems untouchable. So healing the leper is an example at that time. Even now, we don't want to go to people who are actually sick, who is having communicable diseases and things like that. We have experienced that in recent years during the big pandemic that's hit us in different ways. So connect with people those the world deems untouchable is one of them. The inclusive leaders always advocate for the oppressed and empower the marginalized, who is not speaking in a public forum. An inclusive leader will ask, is there anyone that would like to share their experiences and things like that? So marginalized people often marginalized in societies like us. They don't get an opportunity to speak out. That's where an inclusive leader's role is. Recognize goodness and potential in the unexpected places and work to dismantle stereotypes. So we are all in our own professions, isn't it? So we may think that with the qualification, with the experience, people come with more intelligence. And some people may have different ideas, different way of doing things. Are we embracing it? So an inclusive leader should look into people who is not as coming out as experts. Like sometimes people do, or we only look at people as experts when they show their expertism in different ways. But there may be people who is actually good in certain other things that you are not. So you should include them to build that team a good one. Last one in there is lots to take if you like, but I just put 3 examples in there, 3 heads in there. Love and compassion. Prodigal son's example, love for the neighbor, and the foot washing. Forgives and restores, offering new opportunities to those who have failed or been cast out. Second one is inclusive leaders led with empathy, actively seeking a well-being of all people, not just those within their in-group. Inclusive leaders must be willing to serve, not elevate themselves above others. So there are different examples that's coming out from Jesus' real life story. Now move on to certain other things. These are all part of that inclusive leadership module that we do in professional. So what is microaggressions means? I think this needs. Can you all hear me actually without the mic? Yeah. So what is microaggressions? They are subtle, often unintentional actions or remarks that reflects biases or stereotypes towards marginalized groups. Do you have any examples for microaggressions? That can be verbal, non-verbal, or environmental, or often perpetuates feelings of exclusion or disrespect. What do you see or define by what is microaggression? Any examples for microaggression?
Taking like an authoritarian view and cutting other people short in a discussion, for example, to saying saying what you want to say.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a term called mansplaining when a woman explains something the rest of the team doesn't understand, but when the same thing is explained by a man, suddenly everyone gets it.
Yes. Yeah. And also that comes into power as well. When a manager says that is all right, when a colleague says it's completely different. Yeah. Any other thoughts of microaggression?
Example, if you're just going to the coffee room and then you heat your food up, and it, some people say it smells nice, but actually they're meaning negative.
Yeah. Smells nice. Yeah. What are you eating? Yeah. Anything else? Questions. that is microaggression. Sometimes belittling what you are saying is not that important. When it is, we don't think it that way. But someone is talking to me. If myself and Matthew talking about something, and if someone else, for example, Givergis, coming to just grab Matthew. Matthew, come. I need to talk to you about this. I feel belittled there, isn't it? So I was seriously talking to Matthew, but that was not counted. If GV is not saying that, oh, excuse me, can I have a little chat with you when you finish? That is a way of doing it, isn't it? So often that doesn't happen in our society. We just grab people from one conversation to another, isn't it? So that is another example. So sometimes making jokes about someone who is not, which is not really applicable at that situation, that is also microaggression. We can find there are different types of aggressions, over 100 types of microaggressions according to the research. And I'm sure we all experience that in one way or the other. 3 different types is bias, prejudice, and stereotypes. What is bias? Oh, before I show that definition, what is bias? Yeah, is one of the biases. Yeah.
Having a preconceived notion.
Preconceived notion. Yeah. That is more of a prejudice type of thing. Yeah. Any other? There are over 175 types of biases according to the research. So bias literally means preference that inhibits that impartial judgment. So when you think about, say, education, when we think about only people who had higher education have the expertise and knowledge, people may have that kind of an experience which we don't count. That is a bias. We don't count that experience that may have. The skills and all those kind of perceptions can be our biases. Prejudice, as we say, that strong feelings or beliefs about a person or a subject, prejudging others without reviewing facts or information. So most of the time that prejudice is conscious. So if you when you talk about, let's say, people from a particular place say that they are all the same, they do the same things, that comes to NHS context quite a lot, isn't it? So whenever you are wearing pink, people may comment that, oh, you are gay. So that doesn't really matter, isn't it? So pink is a color. That assumption that everyone is a group is the same. There are lots of other examples that you can think.
In school, you may have a stereotype that all Indians are Asians and good at maths.
Yeah. That's not true either. Yeah. And I often hear examples from Filipino peoples as well. They all look the same. And Chinese people, how can we pronounce your name? So such kind of things often come into these kind of things as well. So they are all influencing our leadership styles. Like if we have biases, that influence our leadership style. If we have certain prejudices over certain thing, that influence our style. Even if we try to stereotype people, that also influence our style. So the definition could be, is the practice for ensuring all team members feel valued and respected, irrespective of their background or their identities. And the 3 core principles are the main ones: trust, empathy, and fairness. Then we talk about equality, driving collaboration and innovation in diverse teams. Why that is important? Inclusive leadership fosters innovation, boosts employee engagement, and enhances the organizational culture as such. The traits that define inclusive leadership. So the key characteristics of an inclusive leader include openness to cultural differences, a commitment to empathy, and transparency in their actions. These traits help foster an environment of trust and collaboration. So openness and cultural awareness, an important aspect of it. Empathy and active listening. So one of the main characteristics every leader should have, according to the theory and practices, is active listening skills. How are we in listening to others? I know Achans are very good in listening to others, isn't it? Especially in confessions. They listen to everything that people say. They don't comment on anything, do they? Yeah? Do we know how many types of listening in communication? Active and passive. Any other thoughts? Yeah. Yeah. It has 8 or 9 different categories of communication in listening skills itself. Like starting from passive communication, we only listen just to listen. We just pretend that we are listening to you, but not. I don't understand anything. If you ask in the second time, what did I say? No, I have no idea what did you say. Sometimes people are, kids, our Sunday school kids are sitting in here like that, Like, you are talking to me, that you can hear that, but then are they getting anything? No. Active listening is the top level, that we are providing our attention fully as a listener, and we are nodding, or we are expressing ourselves that we are listening to you. ഞാൻ നിന്നെ കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഫീലിംഗ് അവരിൽ വളർത്താനായിട്ട് ഈ ആക്റ്റീവ് ലിസണിങ്ങിന് പറ്റും. Now people are saying that combining those two, empathetical listening, so putting a little bit of empathy in that active listening, so putting the understanding their feelings properly, like that's a part of our psychological well-being as well these days. Accountability and transparency is another one that takes the responsibility for promoting inclusion and are transparent in their decision-making process. 6 C's of inclusive leadership, that's one among is the commitment. Know what they are committing their time, energy and support to investing in people, and they engender inclusive workplaces. They do have the courage, they challenge the status quo and aren't afraid to call out and deeply held and ingrained beliefs, attitudes and behaviors that foster homogeneity. So they demonstrate humility by recognizing their own shortcomings and are willing to admit their mistakes. Cognizance of bias is really important. So people like that kind of an ability. They exert considerable effort to identify their own biases and learn ways to prevent them from influencing their decisions. Curiosity, that's their ability to engage in respectful questioning and active listening skills make the people around them feel valued and respected and a sense of belonging in there. The cultural intelligence is another thing. That's the new, I don't know whether have you heard about those. Emotional intelligence. We heard about emotional intelligence, isn't it? Have you heard about cultural intelligence? No, that's the new thing that is happening within the UK. Like understanding different cultures is really important for people, especially in corporate and NHS workforce. They have the ability to function effectively in different cultural settings. So they know when to adapt and when not to adapt while maintaining their own cultural authenticity. So people working in like NHS organizations, like with I think there are 95 or 96 different nationalities working in the NHS. Do we know? When we talk about those things, it's only white people or it's only black people, including us in NHS. But we have about 95 plus nationalities working in organizations like the NHS. It is important to understand people's cultures and knowing when to adapt and when not to adapt. Collaborative approach, they create a safe space in which all individuals feel empowered to express their opinions freely within the group without any judgment of or retribution there. How can we build an inclusive environment? Engaging with diverse teams. If we don't know about someone, just try and engage with them. Communication is key in inclusive leadership and understanding people from different backgrounds. Encouraging that open communication, again, providing that equal opportunities for people. So if we are leading, managing a team, or even although we are working in a team, we can encourage these equal opportunities, providing equal opportunities. So everybody can be a leader, isn't it? You don't have to use that power to be a leader. I have colleagues in my own team are experts in different areas which I am relying on them to complete certain tasks for me. And it all comes under my head. That is, Dony's team did it. But I have different experiences, skill sets from the people that I use to get my job done. So that is equal opportunity. Giving them an opportunity and acknowledging them is a leadership trait. That, of course, improved performance. We briefly touched on that earlier. Increase the engagement and enhance the reputation as a team or as a leader. Sometimes there are barriers of inclusion. That is mainly our unconscious bias. That we don't even know that we are biased in certain decisions, making certain decisions. Just to make sure that we are understanding our own biases and how we overcome that is an important aspect in inclusive leadership style. So we must acknowledge and mitigate biases that affect our decision making and interactions. Leverage inclusive leadership, provide that opportunity for people. So you can be role model for inclusive leadership, showing the behaviors like empathy, transparency, and fairness. Encourage open dialogue and feedback. Create a safe space for members to voice their concerns, ideas, and experiences. That we briefly mentioned that earlier. So that brings us to the closure of the half an hour presentation that I had. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. Any thoughts, any reflections on the session? I know Kochama is smiling.
I would just like to thank you for this profusely helpful presentation and very, very useful. And my response, one of the responses in relation to your point on cultural intelligence, UNESCO is driving that now, the intercultural competencies.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things as churches, not just our parish, but our Orthodox churches as a whole, need is that intercultural competency. Studies have shown that intercultural competencies reduce violence, crime, and everything. We are a community who don't get involved in violence or
Aggressions, yeah.
We don't get involved. But what is our responsibility, especially in relation to intercultural competencies, so that we can work for the welfare of this country? That
Absolutely.
is one of the things that required. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you, Kochama, for that. Cultural intelligence is a topic that is coming into light quite a lot, and I work as a act as a cultural intelligence facilitator for Berkshire, Oxfordshire, and Berkshire West ICB, Integrated Care Board for NHS. Yeah. So it covers the 10 different values that includes power, all other aspects of cultural intelligence as well. Happy to do a session on cultural intelligence itself in one of the coming sessions if we are all interested in that. So that is another area that we need to look into. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? So as leaders, leadership is a behavior, as we all know that, isn't it? Leadership is a behavior. It is not a trait that comes to you. Sometimes some people think that people need to be naturally leaders. They are born leaders to be good leader. No, leadership can be a learned behavior too. And inclusive leadership is one of that learned behavior. If we don't know about ourselves, if we don't know how to work with people inclusively, we need to learn inclusive leadership. Basic step to learn inclusive leadership is understanding your own biases. What am I biased with? How is my leadership style? How am I leading my team? Self-reflection is key, and understanding our own biases and work against the biases will lead you automatically to be an inclusive leader. As Orthodox Christians or even Christians, we have a role model who is Jesus, has the inclusive leadership capacities. There are different examples that we mentioned, and you can find a lot more in the Bible about inclusive leadership that Jesus shown to us. So there is a role model for us, and we can all be inclusive leaders in our life. So that is me. So that's one of the top one is only my title that I get paid for. All the other things that I just do as a faculty, as a facilitator, and one among them is the cultural intelligence stuff. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope that's useful.